Hey, what's up guys, Retro Gaming Guy here. So today in this video, we're going to unbox, demo, and review the Kodlix GD90 Mini PC. So let's first dive straight into the specs on here. This offers the Intel i9 12900HK processor that speeds of up to 5 gigahertz, 14 cores, 20 threads. Now for graphics, we have the Intel Iris Xe graphics on here, which I've used many times over with a wide range of different mini PCs and had a good experience with. Now, we also have 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM on here. We have a 1 terabyte SSD installed within running Windows 11, and we also have triple display capabilities, meaning that we can connect this over to up to 3 different monitors at the exact same time, which is huge for many people. So we're going to unbox this. We'll take a look at the layout and designs of this mini PC. We'll also fire it up and test out a wide range of games so we can gauge exactly what this is capable of in terms of emulation and also AAA gaming. Let's dive into it and get started. All right, guys, here's our mini PC box. We'll go ahead and start opening up our Kodlix mini PC. So here is the device sitting right here on top. We'll go ahead and set that aside. Let's see what else is included in here. So it looks like all of our cable connections down here. We've got some warnings. We've got our user manual, which I want to thumb through. All right, so it walks through what's included, all the contents within, shows us everything laid out very nicely right here, where all of our ports are located, which we will obviously comb through momentarily. And then it shows us interfaces and how we can go about connecting everything over. And it does repeat in a bunch of different languages. So let's dive in a little bit further. We've got some set screws right here. We've got our power supply, well, part of our power supply cable. Here's the rest of it right here. So this all together is our power supply cable. Here's an HDMI cable. We have a mounting bracket located down here at the bottom. We also have some additional screws as well. And we have a SATA connection that we can install within. So if you wanted to go ahead and connect over an additional SSD or hard drive, you should be able to do this internally on the Kodlix mini PC. So I'm going to put everything inside here and we'll grab ourselves the mini PC. So very lightweight, actually. I'm impressed by that because I was expecting this to be much heavier. Obviously, we have this black. All right, so here is our mini PC. Definitely very lightweight, especially for something that is as thick as this is. So very simple design, just says Kodlix. We have a little bit of a glossy black finish, I would say. I initially thought it was matte until the light hit it there. Definitely not matte, but it's not a high gloss by any means. Right here in the front, we have our power button located right here. We have our audio jack connection, 2 USB 3 ports. And then if we turn to either side here, you're going to notice that we have ventilation. Back side here, we have our power supply connection port, 19 volts right there. We have right here a Type-C display port. We have an HDMI port and another display port over here. So between these three are USB Type-C connection right here, our HDMI connection, and our DisplayPort connection. We can get our triple display capabilities up and running on here, so you can take this PC and connect it up to 3 different monitors or TVs at the exact same time. So if you wanted to use a DisplayPort, for example, you would just use a DisplayPort to HDMI cable. So over here we have 2 additional USB ports as well. Now down here at the bottom, you're going to see that we have 2 screw holes. These are going to line up perfectly with the bracket that was included. So if you wanted to go ahead and install this within like an arcade cabinet to, play a wide range of different games, if you were modding an arcade one up, this would make for a great option. You could also, of course, just mount this to the backside of a monitor. You can mount this to the inside of a desk, the outside of a desk. Lots of different ways that you can easily mount this. And because it's so lightweight, it's going to be a breeze to actually set up that way. Now, I want to open this up because we do have that SATA connection that we can install internally. And I want to see how we'd go about accessing it. So I believe that we would just go ahead and remove these little feet down here at the bottom. And you probably have to pry these off. I'm not sure if you can just do it with your hand like I'm trying to do. No, we'll go ahead and grab my little pick. All right, so I got this little pick here that I use for things like this, and then we can just get right underneath here, and that makes it so much easier. So if we take that foot off, you'll notice that we have a screw hole down here, and if you looked in there, it's probably hard to see from this angle, but you actually do have a set screw that keeps the bottom panel on. So we're just going to remove all 4 of the rubber feet, and the nice thing is some adhesive stays behind here, some stays on the back side of this, so you can easily reapply these So, you know, a little bit inconvenient to open it up this way, but if you want access to everything internally, it's going to be the approach that you have to take. All right, so that's simple as long as you have a little pry tool or like a pick, something like that. Now what we'll do is we'll drop down in here with our screwdriver. And as long as you have like a magnetic tip on here, you don't have to tip the whole PC upside down to shake that loose. You can just simply remove the screw with the end of your screwdriver. So very simple process here. And now once all 4 screws are removed, you're just going to simply flip this over and you're going to access the back side here. And you're going to see there's a little tab right here that we have to actually press in. And we should be able to do that right here. And a little bit hard to do, but you can start removing this quite easily. So there we go. Just simply press that in and you can remove the entire bottom panel. So we have access to everything internally here. It is very convenient to do all of this. And the really cool thing about this now is if we wanted to install a SSD internally, for example, like say we had a Batocera drive with a setup that we wanted to just have installed within instead of doing an external setup, all we do is we go and grab this. We'll remove this from the little baggie right here. And you're going to make this connection right here. So all you literally have to do is just simply line this up and push it in place. That's it. That connection is made. Now what we would do is we would go ahead and install an SSD right here. So this is a SATA connection. Just simply make that connection to your SSD. And on the bottom here, we have a perfect cutout where we can actually fix our SSD. Or if you wanted even a hard drive, you would be able to put a 2.5-inch hard drive in here as well. You can see the screw holes on the sides where you would fasten that in place. And we even have the set screws in the box where we can make that connection just to secure our SSD or hard drive in place here. You have enough leeway to obviously accommodate your cable connection right here. I'm going to remove this because I'm going to go with an external setup today, but I would, if I plan to keep this and use it on a regular basis, an internal setup would be the approach that I take, especially if using something like Batocera, because I believe that that is so much easier to just have installed internally. You don't have to worry about ugly external connections or anything like that. You simply adjust your boot order and you can either boot directly up into Windows 11, or you could go ahead and boot directly into your Batocera SSD or hard drive. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall these screws. We're going to fire this up and launch some games, test out what the performance is like on this mini PC.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
All right, guys, we unboxed, demoed, and reviewed the GD90 Mini PC from Kodlix, and I love the layout and design of this. I love what it offers for ports on here. As a gamer, I need my USB-As, and I've talked about this a lot in my past reviews, and I'm seeing a lot of Mini PCs actually adopt more Type-C ports than USB-As. And for gamers, I think that there's still a big push for USB-A ports, so this has 4 of them. I love the fact that they are accessible on the front panel as well as on the back side here. We have the triple display capabilities, which is becoming very standard with mini PCs these days. So if you want that function and feature, you have that available here. And if you don't want to use all 3 options at the same time, you can pick and choose what you use to get your display up and running. So you can use a Type-C, you can use the HDMI, you can use the display port. If you want to use all 3, you have that option as well. So you've got the best of both worlds here in terms of display capabilities. Now let's talk about accessing everything internally. All you have to do is flip it over, you pop the 4 rubber feet off there, and you can access the screws underneath those and open everything up. You can adjust your RAM, you can do anything that you want within your mini PC very easily. I also love the fact that that bottom panel that you slide out can also house a SSD or a hard drive. And you have the SATA connection provided by Kodlix as well, so you can bring that right into the mix. For somebody like me, I'm a retro gamer first and foremost. I love to have a bunch of different SSDs on hand that have a bunch of different game setups on there. So for me, Batocera is what I love most. And I love to have the dual boot feature there because I can boot into that or I can boot straight into Windows 11 on a mini PC like this. So oftentimes I'll use an external hard drive or an external SSD. It's a pain to deal with that though, and it takes up a lot of space. So with something like this, just take that SATA connection, connect it internally, connect over your SSD or your hard drive, mount it on the back side there, and you can just switch your boot order to either boot up into that or into Windows 11. So for gaming, I think that this has some amazing options here. Now let's talk about the performance on this Kodlix model. So you can get into retro video game emulation and have absolutely no issues whatsoever there. So you can get into Atari, Classic Arcade, Sega Genesis, Master System, you can get into NES, Super Nintendo, all that stuff, all the way through to original Xbox, GameCube, Wii U, Nintendo Switch, and PS3. All of that is going to perform perfectly, and you saw a lot of that in the demos here in this video. So there's really no shortcomings here, even though we are using an Intel processor and Intel graphics, which there's nothing wrong with that, but AMD is going to give you a much better experience with the more high-end stuff. Now, with retro video game emulation, does it really matter? Well, we jumped into some demos today, and it really doesn't. I mean, if I did a side-by-side comparison and I looked really closely, I would say that AMD is going to get you a better experience overall. I don't think that there's any disputing that. But you are in good hands here with what is offered here with this Intel processor and the graphics on board. Now, where we start to have a little bit of disconnect is jumping into AAA titles. The majority of the AAA titles from, a few years ago are going to run very well on here. But as we jumped into Halo Infinite, we saw that the graphics just couldn't keep up. We were hitting a lot of issues here. The game does launch, but it's not playable. So you can make some adjustments to your settings. You can kind of better the experience, but it's not going to be good enough to where I think it's an enjoyable experience anyways. So I wouldn't use this for your more high-end AAA titles. I wouldn't use this for, live gaming with games like Fortnite, for example. It's just not going to have enough to it with this processor, with these graphics. But for retro video game emulation, you're in good hands. Now let's talk about the price point of the GD90 Mini PC here. At the time of this recording, it's currently selling for just over $420. That's with a coupon code that is automatically enabled on Amazon. So that means the suggested retail price of this is closer to that $550 mark. At $550, it's a fair price still, I would say, but it's not that great bargain. It's not going to give you exceptional bang for your buck. For $550 or a little bit more, you can probably find a mini PC that offers an AMD Ryzen processor or AMD graphics, which would definitely give you a little bit more capabilities with the AAA titles. But with retro gaming, it is going to align very close to what you're experiencing here with the GD90. So you have to just kind of consider what it is you're looking for a gaming experience. If you're just looking for retro and you can get this at $420+, then I think this is a home run. So let me know what you guys think though of the GD90. Let me know about the price point. What did you think of the performance here? What did you think of the overall layout and the accessibility to everything internally on this model? Let me know in the comments of this video. You guys know the deal though. If you want additional information on the GD90, click the link up here at the top of your screen as well as in the description of this video. That's going to do it for today, though. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up on the video. It's a huge help to me here on YouTube. And of course, hit the subscribe button to stay in the loop for all future videos right here on the Retro Gaming Guy YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.